Damn it. Hey everybody, welcome back. So today we are going to be working on the 88 for the Ford. So the plan is to shorten it. We got to shorten it about 3 inches. This came out of an Explorer out of the junkyard, and the Explorer one is about 3 inches longer on the driver's side. So we got to call the brackets off and then cut a big chunk of it and weld it back together. The other thing we got to do is weld the pumpkin to the axle tubes. These things are pressed in, and then they have a plug weld here. That's like the one main weak point of them. We have some nickel rod that we're going to weld these tubes on with. But first we got to get this bracket, the leaf spring brackets off, and the sway bar brackets on both sides, because we're not going to use them. So the what we're going to use for the Ford are these guys. So these are for a C10 Chevy. As you can see, they're at an angle, which puts this guy at an angle. That is for the trailing arm setup, which we have here. I have 2 of them that I have built. We have johnny joints on the end. I got them all welded up. I still need to put a cap weld on this, just to finish it off. They're flush right now, but it's got a couple spots where it's got a little undercut, and I want to put a cap weld on it and make sure they're good to go. But before we get to that, we got to shorten this thing. So trying to figure out the best way to go about cutting these brackets off. I got a plasma cutter. I've only used it a few times, and I really don't feel like setting it up, but I got this little guy, this little oxyacetylene setup, and we're going to try and use that. We're going to see how big of a damn mess this makes, and hopefully we won't catch the shop on fire. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. If anything else, I can put the death wheel on the grinder and we can cut them off that way too. So multiple ways to go about this, so we'll get to it. As you see, I've already got everything torn down. Right here you can see the difference in the axle sizes, that 3-inch difference. So basically, if you're not familiar with the 88, what we're doing is essentially cutting it down to where they're the same size, so we can just use 2 passenger side axles. I'll go to the junkyard and get another axle, and we'll slide it in. It'll be good to go. So this thing, I thought it was a limited slip, but it's not. It does have 373 gears in it though, so that'll work well with the Ford. If anything, we can put a limited slip in it later, so not a big deal. Main thing we're trying to do right now with the Ford is get it mobile, so we can move it around and get it kind of driving, so we can kind of go fuck around with it and fire the Hemi up and whatnot. So yeah, let's get to cutting all this shit off and making a big damn mess. Well, we got one cut off, so not too terrible, not great, but I don't have enough acetylene left to run it. Very small setup, so I had used it previously for some other stuff, so apparently it eats through it fairly quickly. So now we gotta go to plan B. So either use plasma or cutoff wheel. So yeah, we'll see. Might have to bust out the plasma just because I haven't used it in a while, and might as well, right? So let's get her set up. Well, we got everything cut off here. So this is oxyacetylene. This is where I ran out of acetylene, and we didn't have any more to go on. These are all plasma cuts, and then we have this. So I did this one just so I did all the others, but apparently I had too much angle and we got into the tube pretty badly. So so now we get to fix that. We'll gouge it out and weld it up, and should hold. We'll see how bad the damage is. If anything, I go to the junkyard and just pay another $160 and you get another one. And we start this whole process over again. But next thing is grinding down all this where the mounts were. This is kind of what I was shooting for, because you know, it's not a lot to grind off. Those down there are yeah, different story. So we'll get to this and then we'll start figuring out how much we need to cut out. Alright, so we got everything ground down smooth, everything is ready to go. Took a while, you see all the metal everywhere. I was trying to cut it pretty close to the plasma, which did well, and this one got a little far. I got a little too close here. That's the resulting damage. It's really not that bad. I'll gouge it out. We'll put a little groove in here and we will weld this up whenever we do the tubes, once I actually cut it and then re-weld it. So yeah, cleaned up these joints here so we can put some nickel in there, put some nickel rod. That'll be good to go. So next thing is laying it out on this one side and figuring out where we're going to cut. Also highly recommend this little Miller respirator. It's like $40 I think, but keeping this metal dust and shit from all this grinding out, it works wonders. So highly recommend that little guy. So now we just got to lay out our stuff and then figure out where we're going to cut it. So let's get to that. Alright, so I'm going to lay this bad boy out. Get some measurements here. Alright, so I'll go to the outside of this flange. Put some pumpkin to the flange. It is 17 3/8. Mark that on here so I don't have to measure it 4,000 times. Right there in our our fuck up. What is this side? This side is 20 1/4. So it means we got to take out almost 3 inches. Yeah, almost 3 inches. So 2 7/8 is what has come out of this tube. Alright. 2 7/8. That'll put us right at 17 3/8. 1, 2, 3. Yep. 2 3/8 is what needs to come out. So gotta figure out where we're gonna put it at. So our mounts for our springs are going to be out here, kind of out here at the end. So we'll probably just do this here in the middle. That way it's not any way of anything, so we don't have to weld on top of the thing here where we split it. The split bar will go back in here somewhere, just like it was before, so we'll probably just split this right in half. That way it's also 10 1/8 right there. Alright. So we'll go down here, we'll go 10 1/8. Okay, so now that we got that, we'll take this tape, line it up. It'll give us pretty straight line. It's 3-inch tape, so take quite a bit's deflected. Alright, measure on the bottom, make sure you're good down there. Two and an 8. Take that little fucker here. Go. All right, so 10 and 8. Here's the middle of our tube. All right, so now we gotta go 3 inches, right? 2 7/8, so this goes right at 13 inches. Alright, and we'll do the same thing with our tape. Check the bottom again. Thirteen inches. All right, so now we measure between these. We should have 2 7/8, and that's exactly what we have. So cut that down. Cut this little section out here, and we'll weld this back together, and that should give us our it should give us our same distance this side, 17 3/8. So, so how are we going to cut this? Could use a cutoff wheel. Probably going to pull the porta band out of its upright stand and use it, because once it's going, it should cut pretty straight and shouldn't have any problems. So once I get it going on its path, it should be fine. So it's probably what we're going to do. I think it'll be the easiest, and it'll create the least amount of mess, all that shit. So the other thing is, when we go to put this back together, I can either do level off the flanges, or we can make a mark. The Fabricator series, he does a mark across here and grinds it in, and that's how he puts it back together, which seems pretty easy. So we'll probably just do that, and then yeah, and then we'll be good to go. All right, so let's see if this works. We'll cut this end off first. Oh, fuck. Yeah. Tape peeled back because I couldn't see the bottom. Instead of moving it, I just went with it. So now I'm at the cut, but since we haven't cut this side, we can fix this. Throw square, the end, 7 1/4. Down here on the bottom where I didn't turn it, we're at 7. So 1/4 inch. So we need to add 1/4 inch to this side, and do this tape over again. So then that I will square up, and we will cut 1/4 inch off of that, and we'll be good to go. So this was 10 1/8. So 10 3/8, where our mark will be. Ten 3/8. Ten 3/8. All right, so same thing. We'll set our tape up. This time, I'll turn the damn tube. All right, 10 3/8. So let's Alright. God damn, it does not get much fucking cleaner than that. Now, see, had my dumbass done this the first time, I wouldn't have to fix this. You can see how badly we got off the first cut. So I was cutting it and it was going straight, and then I couldn't see anymore and it just fucking veered. Yeah, it would have been nice if it could have veered like during the scrap piece, but that's never how it goes. But this other side looks pretty damn good. I do say so myself. So we'll get this other side straightened up. Tape off here real quick. Alright, so you can see there where our line is from where we made that scratch essentially. And this will come on here. We'll line this up. I'll put some plates on here. We use probably that channel I have. Put a piece on each side and then clamp it. But as you see, we have some work to do on this end first. So we'll square it up and then get it cut off. That's about all we can do. There's no point in bitching about it. Let's get it done. Alright, so took a grinder, took another 1/4 inch off this side. It is at 7 inches all around now. So now you see our mark here. I'll bring it in here. We got our scratch mark here. Now when we put this back together, we will just line these up, and then our flanges should be the same on each end. Before we actually weld it, I'm going to put a level on them just to make sure, because I don't want to do this again. So cut is pretty straight. I gotta get the jig set up so that we can measure it. That way I can have this thing actually sit in here and hold and be square, and then we can measure it and make sure we're good to go. Hopefully we don't have to grind anything off, but if we do, we do. It's not really a big deal. The biggest thing is, as long as we're not undersized, we shouldn't be. I measured it, it was 17 5/16, right? No, 7/16. So we have about a 1/16 we gotta take off. We can do that with grinding it out, and we gotta put a bevel on here anyway. So maybe when we do our bevel, we'll do that and get that all good to go. So that's gonna do it for tonight. All right, so another day, so we're back on the 8/8. So this is what we have going on here. I went to Lowe's, bought some angle iron, about a 6-foot piece, cut it into 15-inch chunks, and we got it on here. So you see we got a pretty tight fit up. Looks really good. I measure it, and I had to do a little grinding, but all right, 17 3/8 is where we are. All right, right where we need to be. So our axle goes right in. This is the other side, goes right in there. Everything spins nice. And we shouldn't have any problems with this. Nice and straight. So we'll take this back apart. We're gonna put a nice bevel on all these. That way we can get good penetration. These tube walls are pretty thick, so we want to be able to get down there. And then once we get that done, we'll square up our flange here, and then do some tack welds, and then hopefully we can have this thing buttoned up tonight. So we'll get to knocking these edges off and get it set up for tack welding. All right, so we got our nice bevel cut into here. Everything's nice and tight. I clocked this into that end. I took my little angle finder and used the holes, put some bolts in there, and then used the flats, and they are dead on. I also checked this face in conjunction with that face, and they're within 0.1 degrees of each other, so I will take it, especially for as possibly questionable as this setup is. So yeah, so now we're ready to tack. We'll tack it up, see how this goes. Let's see. Well, yeah, I'd say our ground is not like that. We're gonna figure out something better. Let's see. I'm trying to push the amps, and she ain't liking it. So let's try it. Let's try it down here. That cast iron center section just doesn't really got too many bumps and shit in it, I guess. Pretty fat welds in there, so let's see if it falls off. Alright, let's check our measurements here. Alright, I think we are good to go. Everything looks good. I'll throw this axle in, make sure it's all good. Yeah, I think we're gonna be alright here. It seems to be in a bind. Axle slides right in. should. So I think we're good to weld this bad boy all the way up. Alright, so this is where we're at so far. So I got a nice fat weld there. Tubes are all cleaned up pretty well, so we'll burn this thing in. Should be able to put, I'm using a 3/32 rod. It looks like we might be able to get the whole thing with one pass. So we'll get her burnt in and see how it goes. Alright, got her all welded up. That's our first pass. It's got a little undercut. I burned it in pretty hot. And I only used a 3/32 rod, so I'm going to put a cap on it. So we'll do that, and then we'll be good to go. But that's going to do it. We'll let this thing cool down, and then I'll put a little cap on it so we can grind it down smooth. And then from there, putting it all back together and getting it back in the Ford. So yeah, more to come. Hopefully from here on, next thing we'll be doing is putting the 2-link suspension in the Ford, and then getting that car on the airbags on the rear and getting it back on the ground. So ordered a bunch of parts for the Hemi. That'll all be here tomorrow. I ordered a different oil pan, a bunch of other stuff. So hopefully here soon we can burn those motor mounts in, and then we can start it. The motor was rebuilt 20 years ago and it's never been started. So we'll see. The only thing I got left to do on this thing is do the nickel rod for the center section to the tubes, and then this thing will be completely done. So looking forward to that. So stay tuned. Take care.